Hoyoverse is becoming too greedy. Yeah, bro, I've been warning people this shit for 4 years. This video got 36,000 views. Hold up.
So I've
77,000 views from a 2,000 subscriber account. 260 people not awaking to the reality, though. Let's see what this guy has to say.
noticed that recently Hoyoverse has been taking a different approach to the way they handle their monetization, and while it has been brewing for a long time, just recently it has seemed they might be going a little too far with it. So I wanted to make a video about it. This is my first video in this style, so I want to know what you guys think about it. Before we start, I need to lay out what type of player I am. I am max level in both Honkai.
I think that Dendro ruined Genshin Impact. I think Silverwolf ruined Honkai Star Rail. Yeah, I think in 2 years' time, I think we're going to be saying Miyabi ruined Zenless Zone Zero. Wait and see, boys.
Star Rail and Genshin Impact. I have completed all the endgame. I typically pull just a character and sometimes their weapon. I have a few dupes of some characters, and I have one.
Why Silverwolf no one used her? Because what Silverwolf did is she allowed players to bypass any of the pre-existing mechanics for having to use the proper element on the battles, which I think severely hindered the complex enjoyment of theory building or team building to make sure you have the right characters to beat the certain challenges put ahead of you. But what Silverwolf did is, now that one character can bypass weaknesses, now every character can bypass weaknesses, and now you kind of ignore what enemies are in front of you, and you only work on the team that you have, and you make one team that brute forces every single content. And I think it's gay as fuck.
C6, that being Hu Tao. I buy the Welkin and the Battle Pass in both
Just remember, there's a reason why Boot Hill and Firefly now both have the weakness bypass effect.
Games, but I've recently stopped buying the Battle Pass in Genshin because I just don't really need it anymore. I'm not against spending money in any of these games, but over time I felt the want to do so much less unless I really like that character, and watching Hoyoverse get a lot more daring with their monetization over time.
Okay, but nobody uses Silverwolf? Alright, yo mods, I need you to ban anybody who's this retarded when I just explained it out loud, because you driveling fucking morons are the reason why I have to repeat myself so goddamn much. It's not Silverwolf herself, it's what Silverwolf represents. And what Silverwolf was the first character that bypasses elemental weakness. And because Silverwolf had that, other characters now have to have that in order to keep up, according to the Hoyo business model.
Eggy rave.
So pull your head out of your ass and be able to think for 4 seconds. Yo, mods, time that guy out for a week where he can actually understand how to understand the things that people are saying in front of him.
Has made that a lot worse. Now I'll admit, I really do think Honkai Star Rail did start out as a generous game. It gave out a lot of pulls on launch, much more than Genshin Impact, and how a lot of people were very happy about that. In the first few months
100%.
of the game, you didn't have to pull light cones since they were nothing but stat boosts. The only thing you had to worry about was getting some elemental coverage, which doesn't really matter anymore.
Dude, the free-to-play experience of Honkai Star Rail on launch was so nice. It was legit so nice. By the way, guys, what's going on with Bob and Mr. Pokey? He got to MOC 9 waiting on Tribby. Is he going to pull an E1 Tribby and then say, look, guys, you see I was right? No shot he's pulling an E1 Tribby. He's going to get other people to play his free-to-play account until it's maxed out and it's farmed efficiently every day by other people, and then he's going to use his currency on getting an E1 Tribby. E1 S1. What does he think that proves? Nothing as usual. But he's going to beat it, and then he's going to make some post on Twitter being like, oh, dude, Giga Chad, I proved all the haters wrong. They said I couldn't do it. There is no power creep in Honkai Star Rail. Like, what? He is not going to pull E1 S1. Oh, he's only going to pull E1? It's like, I thought the whole point of Bob was to be relatable. And if he gets an E1 Tribby, it's just like, people just don't do that. People play these games to collect as many different characters as they possibly can, not all in on one because they're meta broken. And it's crazy how the character that he's going to all in on is the child. The one that is pretty much only being pulled for meta. I hope to God he goes to hard pity twice. 4 times.
You could have fun running your Dylan Fall of an A on this.
So Mr. Pokey's whole gimmick is that he makes up issues in his own head that nobody is saying. And then he beats those issues that nobody's arguing. And then he says, I was right. Who here doesn't think that you're going to like not be able to clear with an E1 Tribby?
Still clearing with no issues. And Honkai Star Rail appeared even more generous with the release of Dr. Ratio, who was completely free and didn't require you to pull him at all. He was also the beginning of the famous Genshin can never meme, which in hindsight was kind of stupid, but it was also kind of correct, because to this day, we have never gotten a free limited 5-star in Genshin Impact.
True.
Anyways, this generosity seemed to slow down a lot with the release of Tectone and especially Acheron in 2.0.
Yeah, the Genshin can never meme is more so for Wuthering Waves towards Genshin now. Honkai Star Rail's kind of lost its GCN pass.
1. If you were to ask me what
besides Aloy, guys, you're right.
Character I thought was the most harmful to Honkai Star Rail's game state, Acheron would be my answer 99% of the time.
Sure.
I could honestly probably make a whole video about her impact on the game alone.
Sure, I think that's fair.
Not only did she kick off the insane damage
sure.
bloat, but she also had a very broken light cone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, if you don't know, Acheron really likes debuffs. Her team needs to get 9 of them so she can launch a very powerful ultimate, the bulk of her damage. Her light cone gives 2 stacks on her ult instead of 1, along with a big damage boost and crit damage. It is probably the single biggest jump between S0 and S1 in the game. The reason I have such an issue with this light cone, as well as a few other light cones, is because it locks her ability to use her kit behind it. If we look at older units, most of them did not do that. They simply gave stat bonuses instead. Look at Jing Yuan's light cone. It gives an insane amount of stats and is a pretty universal option for a lot of Erudition characters. I like light cones like that, but Acheron's light cone is game changing. This is very much a situation of creating the problem and selling you the solution. If they're going to do this, why don't they just make the weapon banner guaranteed?
Money!
I don't see the issue with that if they want to make light cones borderline required for certain units. And I don't think this would lose them money either. If anything, I wouldn't be surprised if it actually increased player spending because then they would have this...
Yeah, it would further incentivize players to think that it's like actually good to pull for because it's so easy to get. I think Wuthering Waves is a great system for that.
Security known they can get the weapon with no drawbacks. Wuthering Waves already has it and everybody loves it.
Yep.
So I don't really see why they don't do it here.
Because they want
Another
money.
problem is now they're trying to sell you the character and light cone package and or the entire team comp instead of just the character. You wanted to play Break? Well, you need to get Ron-Mei and Firefly, who are both running at the same time. You wanted to play Follow-Up? Hopefully you have enough for Face Shadow and Robin, because they're both running at the same time or right after each other.
Yep.
Maybe if I wasn't greedy and stupid, it wouldn't be an issue. But
Oh, Mr. Jokey chirped again, man. Chirped again. -2 ER for Mr. Dookie.
I am glad the reruns are faster now. It's kind of a bit much. Personally, I would have liked it if we just got the 173 like we did back in 2.5. But when you have 8 characters running in one patch, including 2 new characters, and still not being given enough J's to even guarantee one is, I don't know about that.
You know what's crazy is that the 8 banners were actually good for Honkai Star Rail. They were good if they did it every banner in perpetuity, and then they stopped. So they were actually very bad because when they were at 8 was great as long as they stayed at 8. But going back, oh, that was so bad. Because now when the next 8 banner comes out, oh man, the FOMO is going to be fucking insane. That's what I've been saying for months. Same.
And not to mention the power creep, where your characters fall to irrelevancy very quickly.
Yes, they do.
This game's generosity is a facade. Think about it like this. If your game gives out 150
even if
pulls,
Trippy was
but you need 150 of them to keep at the end game, then are you really generous? And I feel like recently in 2.0, all this came around together in one big pile of dog shit. Every character rerunning was meta, except for Silverwolf, probably because Hoyo fucking hates her. The Herd
Don't worry, they're going to buffer, man. They re-ran her because they're going to buffer.
is another example of blatant power creep, so yay. I'm sure she will require her light cone by the time her rerun comes around. Then we got Aglia. She's a very good character. I even 0 cycled with her. Now I can impress my 21.7% female viewer ratio.
Who is this? Hey, bro, actual funny joke. You earned my subscribe. Actual good one.
She wants Sunday. That's understandable. But what I have a problem with is...
I'm actually so curious. What is my gender ratio? How many women watch me? 37% of people who watch me are not subscribed. It used to be 90-10, believe it or not. 8.8% female. That is insane. 2.2% at 13 to 17 years old. Dude, 0.8% 65 plus. That is insane.
Is her E1. Her E1 gives her 20 energy on hit, and she wants all the energy she can get. She still works without it, but I hate it when they lock what should have been in their base kit behind Eidolons.
Absolutely.
What Eidolons and Constellations should be is quality of life features and just damage increases, not removing the bullshit that Hoyoverse puts into their kit on purpose. It once again feels like yet another example of creating the problem and selling the solution. And another issue I've noticed is a lack of viable 4-stars. We have very few 4-stars that are actually good and used often.
We got what? Gallagher, Pela, Hunt March, Ting Yun maybe? Moe's? I've never seen anybody use Moe's.
Out of the 20 plus 4-stars,
I would say like Ting Yun, Hunt March, Gallagher, and Pela probably.
In the game.
The problem is we need 8 minimum.
I can count the good ones on one hand. And that is a problem when 4-stars make up 34% of the roster.
Yeah.
At least in Genshin, you have characters like Bennett and Xingqiu who are still amazing to this day.
True.
But there's nothing like that in Star Rail. And I can feel it when there's a grand total of...
It would be so fucking nice.
Part of the 8%.
You know, to acknowledge Genshin Impact, it would be so nice to have a couple of 4-stars that were like meta broken, right? That way we wouldn't have to get 8 5-stars. We'd only need like 5, 3. Because like, dude, the 4-stars in this game are so weak.
One 4-star I use on a daily basis.
At least the MC is good.
And the 4-star problem is amplified even farther when you realize that we only got 2 new banner 4-stars in all of 2024. And we have no new Amphorius 4-star in the drip market as of now. Meaning that the earliest our next 4-star could be is around 5.3, which is around June. That's bad. So now is not only a problem of the lack of viable 4-stars, but it's also a problem of not having any new 4-stars.
Did Pro just say 5.3?
Like, look at this selector. Yeah, this shit is so ass. These are just some of the reasons why I kind of...
They should have made Hanya OP as because she's so hot.
Don't like pulling for newer characters much anymore, because then I know that if I don't get everything for them and there's no 4-star replacement, then put me in the corner of a hotel room and call me Sneeko because I am getting cucked. But as greedy as Honkai Star Rail is becoming, I don't think it's as bad as Genshin Impact.
Really?
That's right, Genshin, you aren't safe for me. I've noticed ever since the beginning of Natlan.
I guess the thing with Honkai Star Rail is that I would say now in 2025, I actually think Honkai Star Rail has the worst power creep in all aspects. I really do. Maybe there's something that I'm forgetting, but in a bubble right now where I'm at, I do think it is worse than Genshin right now. Let's see.
Natlan, they've been getting pretty bold with their monetization, but that doesn't mean it wasn't there before. There was a weapon banner not having weapon charting. Luckily, we did get it fixed.
Credit me.
Hail Tectone.
Oh, shit! Yo, brother. Anybody who acknowledges that gets a subscribe from me, brother. I want to see this guy at 3,000 subs by the time we finish this video.
There's also characters like Hu Tao who really wants her C1.
True.
Trust me, I've played C0 and C1, and yeah, C1 does make her a lot easier to play. But as the game aged, things started to change.
Ooh.
Throughout Fontaine, we got characters like Risley who really do like a C1. But Natlan, oh boy.
What happened?
Natlan brought it to a whole new level.
Really?
They made pretty much every Natlan unit insane for exploration, but only in Natlan. So unless you want to use your Shalom roller skates for a grand total of 3 seconds, you aren't going anywhere outside of Natlan. But if you do want to use them for exploration outside of Natlan, then you need to shell out another $300 because a lot of the Natlan characters have their Night Slow usage reduced outside of combat in their C1s.
I will say, there is a character that I'm currently using in Honkai Star Rail. Because for people who think that the quality of life exploration is only pay-gated in Genshin, it's the same thing in Honkai Star Rail. Yeah, I'm using Rappa to surf around, to traverse the large-ass maps of, what's it called? What's the new zone called? Amphorius. Yeah, Amphorius. It's so fucking large. Like characters like Fei Xiao and Rappa, you have to pull for quality of life. But, to be fair, that movement will be good in every zone in perpetuity. Whereas these characters, like the swimmers in Fontaine and now the speed boys in Natlan, they'll only be good in Natlan and in Fontaine. Which means you're going to have to pull again in Snezhnaya. You're going to have to pull again in every new zone. Yeah, that's rough.
Meaning more exploration. They also added the new Night Soul mechanics on all of the characters.
Yeah.
With that, you really want to play Natlan units in order to take full advantage of the Hero of Cinder City set. I won't go into too much detail about all the characters, otherwise this video would be way too long.
Sure.
But there's one character in specific that made this all just feel so much worse.
Say it, bro. But she's an Archon. But she is a Archon. So it makes sense in lore that she power creeps everybody.
And that character's not other than the Archon of the region herself, Mavwika.
But she's an Archon,
she
should.
Like Mavwika's kit. Now, typically Archons will take advantage of the unique mechanics that they bring in their region. Think of Nahida with Dendro or Farina with the HP drain. And Mavwika is no exception to this. But the issue here is that Mavwika is a DPS. She can work as a sub-DPS support, but main DPS is where she shines. Meaning that the team is made to support her. Mavwika needs stacks of Fighting Spirit in order to launch her burst nuke.
Okay.
And Fighting Spirit charges faster using Night Soul points. This means that she requires Natlan use in order to fully function properly. She works okay without them, but she heavily wants them. Mavwika is a lot like a shonen protagonist. While she might be kind of strong on
broken as fuck.
her own, when she gets the power of friendship on her side, she becomes unbeatable. This is basically the equivalent of if Farina's buffs only worked on
Holy
Fontaine
fairy tale.
characters. I think you can see why that's a problem. Imagine you skipped early Natlan use for Mavwika, and then you find out that she needs them to be at her best.
Yep.
But don't worry, the game is nice to you, you see. They give you a free Kachina to play with your Mavwika. I can't be the only person who feels like them giving us these bad characters out for free almost feels like an insult at this point. But if you don't want to play Kachina, and I can't blame you because she's not too good, don't worry, there's another Natlan character that's running on banner too.
Yeah, don't worry, man. That's right. This does make it worse than Honkai Star Rail. Yeah, let's just reach our #1 new character support on the same banner in the same cycle and put all of the currency to pull them in the second half once they're gone. I forgot how bad this was. I blacked it out.
That works perfectly with Mavwika. Sit lolly.
Baba!
But there is a little problem. Hoyo decided to run both of these brand new characters on the same banner phase. This was the first time in Genshin history this has happened.
Fucking disgusting.
And to add insult to injury, the Lantern Right rewards were in the second phase, meaning you lost all of those because Dawei needed to buy a 6th yacht. This was one of the scummiest things Hoyoverse has ever done.
That's what I said! Do the number!
I kind of wanted to pull from Mavwika
insane.
because she's really fucking hot. But this decision was so bad, I couldn't do it.
Hey, I'll be real, bro. Jane Doe. Hey, fuck it. Ellen Joe. Zhu Yuan. I don't need porn from Honkai Star Rail Genshin anymore, man. ZZZ got me. Straight up. ZZZ got my ass, bro. Holy f***, that shit is insane.
I've skipped characters because I don't agree with the price point or the practices, and this won't be the last. I can tell they wanted to milk as much money out of us, and that was just disappointing, to be honest. It's weird because last year, the internet was broken over 3 polls, but then when this happens, I barely saw anybody talking about it. And the greed isn't only on the characters, it's also extending to the enemies too. These new abysses have enemies that want Night Soul to break their shields. This shit was so annoying I had to bust out my benched Arlecchino to hopefully normal attack it until it died. I can probably make a...
Wait, what? What did it need?
These new abysses have enemies that want Night Soul to break their shields. This shit was so annoying I had to bust out my benched Arlecchino to hopefully normal attack it until it died.
Wait, so there's a Natlan mechanic where you need the Night Soul things that Natlan characters has in order to break its shield? That enemy needs Night Soul unless you have a million normal attack.
I can probably make a whole video on the shortcomings of Natlan and their newer approach to the way they monetize their game just made it so much worse. I do like Genshin, but man, these decisions are just getting worse and worse.
If a content creator can make a video exposing every issue with Natlan and the predatory business practice that they're doing, I promise you I'll react to it. I would really like to know more about that night range shield and how that works. Because I would really like to put a highlight on how much shitty business practices this company is doing. It's even worse than the actual Big Boss. It will one-shot you if you don't break the shield. Yeah, it's really ass. And what's crazy is I haven't heard about it because all the CCs who cover the game just turned a blind eye to anything that's fucking bad. Because it's just fraudulent CC after fraudulent CC. It's fucking pathetic.
As for Zenless Zone Zero, I don't really think it has any issues with greed yet. I've lost...
Just wait till Miyabi becomes the status quo and Zhu Yuan cannot be used anymore.
More gallons to that game than I have dollars, so I'm not really worried.
True, I will be real. Listen, guys, I don't give a fuck if Zenless Zone Zero falls off, gets power crept, the story sucks. I'm going to be jerking off of this game for the next 30 years.
I will say the Wenjins are getting kind of ridiculous, and there might be a bigger issue with power creep if we keep going higher than Miyabi.
Yes.
But we're going to have to wait and see.
True.
Now, I know I've received comments about how
it's crazy because if it was Wuwa, I would trust it to not do it again, but it's Hoyo, so I just feel like they're just going to do it again.
the gacha game, and of course it's greedy
Love
and it's
you,
crossing into
Techie.
predatory, and you're right. Gacha games being greedy is about as common as chips and salsa at a Mexican restaurant.
Yep.
Of course companies want to make money, but what's also important is how they do it.
True.
From what I've seen, Hoyo tends to skirt a fine line between being just generous enough to keep people somewhat satisfied, but not satisfied enough to the point where they don't want to spend money on it. And while this makes sense, it feels like they've been more on the stingy side of things as of late. If they go too much in a negative direction, while it might benefit them in the short term, I really don't think people stick around it for the long term. Except the Hoyo shills, of course. And we've seen...
Hold up. Yuna says, "You stupid haters. Clorin can easily break the shield, even though she's not from Natlan." Who else? I'm gonna need you to name me 8 characters that can easily break these shields. Can you name me 8? We said if you can't do a ton of normal attacks, burning. Yo, Yuna, I'll come back to you, man. Type out the 8 characters that you can use to overcome that mechanic. All right, great.
Clear examples of games that are much more fair with their monetization and respect their players, and they have a very dedicated fan base. Take Wuthering Waves, for example. As much as people want to pit the fandoms against each other, WoW fans love the game for good reason, myself included. The weapon banner is guaranteed, and the pity is 80 instead of 90. You can buy dupes in the shop. I can't speak for everyone, but I am much more willing to...
I'm not gonna lie, buying 2 Carlotta dupes felt like coming. For real. Like, that shit felt like sex. It was so good.
...spend money on that game because I know it's a lot more reasonable. I may sound like a curlbot for this, but if giving a game its sweet flowers a mint is being a curlbot, then I guess I'm a curlbot.
Yep.
I know this video is probably going to be a bit controversial, but I really hope Hoyoverse improves the monetization does better going forward. I want a guaranteed weapon banner. I want more viable 4-stars. I want to have parts of kits not locked behind eidolons or light cones. I've seen people say that these games should be void of criticism because it's a gacha game or it's free. This is completely false. This company is worth billions of dollars, and if anything, they should be held to the highest criticism possible.
Absolutely agree.
And the thing is, this company is what other games would look towards for a successful gacha game.
Absolutely. If you're okay with bad business practices happening in Hoyo and you don't voice your complaints, you will be seeing it in another gacha game very soon. People are using this as the blueprint. That's why I'm so critical of it, because I know other companies are looking towards this game on how it succeeded. They need to know what works and what doesn't.
Meaning that all the stupid things that Hoyo puts in their game, case in point, the 50-50 on weapons, could end up in other games by other companies. And as a player, I don't want to have to deal with that in every other game that I play. Luckily, Wuthering Waves significant...
Hold up. Jamon says it's still free. Okay, so let me ask you a question. So if you can enter a restaurant for free, are you not going to complain when a hamburger's $80? Because the game might be free, but you're still going to have to spend a lot to get any of the good shit. And then you say, oh, well, you can just grind free to play for fucking 2 weeks. Okay. So what you're saying is, are you okay with entering a restaurant and then just working as a line cook for 8 hours so you can eat one meal? Shut the fuck up.
Improved it, and there are other games
Y'all
out there
motherfuckers
too,
are
good
so
gachas,
dumb, it's
and
embarrassing.
I'm hoping other games in the future
Though,
do the same. The
welcome
fact
to my
that a very
stream.
successful
Appreciate the
gacha
chat
game
message.
doing what Hoyo couldn't in real time makes it feel so disappointing on Hoyo's end. Will any of this happen? Unlikely. But I love these games and I want them to improve. All I hope is that we see better in the future. Honkai Star announced some changes recently, so maybe we'll see some monetization changes. And as for Genshin...
Well said, Techie. See, you saying well said is what a normal person would say, common Techie W, is what we say in 2025. You know, that same thing that y'all say for other content creators when they merely just mimic exactly what I fucking say. Because it's crazy when I say it, people are like, true. But then when content creators just repeat the same shit I say, they say, oh yeah, common Techie W based. Jesus, man. Come on. We need a little bit more brain rot. I mean, dude, guys, I want you to imagine this. There are more people typing based and W in Ziox and Zajeff's chat than there are here. 2.2% at 13 to 17 years old. That's a real fact, by the way. I looked up what emotes are being used. How? Because for some reason, even though I'm the guy that's right about everything, my chat just doesn't type it. So let's get our numbers up, guys. Let's get our numbers up. Thanks. Yeah, but their chat is retarded. Well, you know what, chat? Sometimes it's okay to be retarded as long as you're playing into my ego.
Yeah, you guys are cooked. Before you click off, I just want to say thank you for reaching the end of this video. This is my first video like this, so I apologize if it's not the best. But if you guys want more videos like these, then let me know. And any feedback...
You know what Ziox and Zajeff have to say to get a based or a fucking W? Oh, Genshin good, guys. I really like Klee. Based.
is greatly appreciated. And if you enjoyed, I really appreciate you subscribing. This video took a lot of work, and it really helps me out a lot. Thank you so much for watching.
This guy's awesome. Dude, he timestamped his whole video, too. Once again, I want to make sure this guy has 3,000 subs before we get off here. To move with a quick refresh to see what we got him to. Boom!
So I
3.03. Hey, job's done, boys. Boom, boom, boom. Bop. Highlighting another smaller content creator. What a god. What a god. Hey, great video, man. Appreciate the fuck out of that, and welcome to the Gotcha Space. Never seen you before, but I hope I see more of you. Peace.